Hi, my name is Sabyasachi and I work as the National Coordinator of RRA Network, the Revitalizing Rainfed Agriculture Network. I am based in Hyderabad, but I work with in the different states. Particularly, we are working in 10 states in the country where there are a lot of rainfed areas. If we look at the last 50 years of Indian agriculture, we will see that a lot of focus on the exploitation of the resources and a lot of public investment has gone to the irrigated area. You will find that nobody is talking about the farmers kind of a risk. They have a different kind of a risk and nobody is talking about them. Everyone is talking about monocrop, the technology which is also support the monocrops, but rain-fed areas who are more vulnerable to the climate change, and you need to come up with a different kind of a technology. And we say that it is important to look at public investment more focusedly as a RRA network in the rain-fed areas. We see that there has been a historical injustice in terms of public investment in these areas. Hardly 10% of the government budget goes to the rain-fed areas, but again that 10% to 15% of the budget of the agriculture ministry is actually going not the way that is required for the rain-fed farmers. It is primarily extending the green revolution technology to the rain-fed areas, which does not work. So what is required? The requirement is that you need to have a differential policies, you need to have a different kind of a technology, you need to have a different institutions to work on this, and therefore we say that it is required to have a comprehensive plan. 89% of the millets comes from the rain-fed areas. 88% of our oilseeds pulses comes from this area. 73% of the oilseeds comes from these areas. 70% of the cotton also comes from area. 40% of rice comes from these areas. Then if you look at livestock sector, you will find that 70% of the milk comes from the rain-fed areas. More than 60% of the sheep and goat are in the rain-fed areas. So all these are the strength, and we are not capitalizing on our strength because we are not doing a comprehensive convergent plan, and we are not investing in the way it is required. When we are talking about comprehensive plan, we talk about 4D. That means first D is the decentralized planning process that needs to be done. Then we are talking about the plan needs to incorporate the diversity which is required and which is there in the rain-fed areas. Then third thing, that you need to design, the third is the design of the program should be in such a way that reduce the risk of the rain-fed farmer, that helps them to improve their income. Then that should also lead to the sustainable utilization of natural resources. So yeah, that is the third D. And fourth D is that you need to come up with a different delivery mechanism for the rain-fed areas. The contact farmer concept of green revolution will not work. At the moment, generally we are providing inputs to the farmers, but in the rain-fed areas we need to provide an extension system which talks about the knowledge transfer to the farmers instead of only supplying the inputs. So your delivery has to be different, your design has to be different, you have to have a decentralized plan, and you have to have a diversity in your mind to have the plan. So we are saying that that plan should come from the bottom-up planning, has to happen at the GP level. It should be compiled at the block level. No government program does have a decentralized plan in that way, particularly in terms of agriculture department. All are district level. If you look at the RKVI, it talks about district agriculture plan. if you look at the PMKSY, it talks about district irrigation plan. Nobody is talking about the decentralized plan. Plan comes from the bottom up. So this is required in the rain-fed agriculture very much. The network is primarily looking at that kind of an engagement with the state, and some of the state has moved on this line. Say for example, NARA, National Rain-Fed Area Authority, has come up with that the district prioritization index, comprehensive district prioritization index. So what kind of a development plan should come up that looks into the natural resources, that looks into the production system, that looks into the livelihood requirement of the community. So we need to push these things to the states, and the states should act upon this, whether it is the state of Karnataka, where there is a dryland area, a lot of dryland areas, particularly in North Karnataka. So government supposed to have a dryland policy. We need to see that how these policies are implemented on the ground. So that is another thing. So that area we are also helping some of the state to come up with a along with the design, the delivery mechanism also. So in the network we are trying to engage with state, with the various departments, by a lot of civil society organizations who are in turn working with a lot of farmers group, whether it is FPO, whether it is CBOs, community-based organization, and look at that how, even if in case of FPOs in the country, most of the FPO, probably 90% of the FPO works on single crop and mostly high value crop, because the more margin is there in the high value crop. But for a rain-fed farmer, they are growing multiple crops. We need to look at that how the FPO are capacitated to handle multiple crop at different point of time, and then what kind of a services a farmer required, a rain-fed farmer required. So probably the rain-fed farmer needs different kind of implements and machineries which is suitable for him or her. So are the FPOs are able to provide that kind of a services which is out there farming operation? Why don't FPO talk about ease of farming by the farmers, rain-fed farmers? Therefore, when we are talking about rain-fed, whether it is market, whether it is seed system, whether it is a crop system, it is entirely different. So therefore, a differential policies, different kind of a dedicated program in a mission mode is required to realize the potential of the rain-fed agriculture. In RRA, we used to say that what is our theory of change? The theory of change is the nature, amount and delivery. The nature of investment has to be different. The amount of investment has to be increased, because we have 60% of farmers in the country who are rain-fed farmers. 55% of the country's crop area is under rain-fed. And D is the delivery mechanism. NAD delivery mechanism has to be different. It should not be the way input supply. It is the transferring of the knowledge. So therefore, you need to come up with a different mechanism which can facilitate farmers for taking the knowledge to the farmers. So this is and we also need to understand what kind of a knowledge they have. They have a tremendous knowledge on diversities, tremendous knowledge on the interactions between crop, different crop, livestock, then fisheries. All these are very much interlinked, and we are missing that interlinkages. We are coming up with only one crop specific mission, one crop specific program, but we are not looking at comprehensively. Therefore, we started a comprehensive pilot in RRA. That is the starting point, where we demonstrated that in a particular area, if we work on the services that is required by the farmers, and if we work on the natural resource management, production system, diverse crop system, soil, and etc., then you can realize a growth. And probably the rain-fed agriculture, if we invest properly with a proper kind of a program, it can realize 10% of the growth in agriculture, which is excellent. It would be excellent probably. And with proper investment, you can actually look at the equitable growth. You can actually address the critical injustice in the country, particularly to the rain-fed agriculture. So primarily look at that there are a lot of issues being faced by the farmers, particularly rain-fed, because there is a now with a shorter duration of monsoon. Sometimes you have a lot of rain in a particular time, then there is a long dry spells. So we need to manage the dry spells particularly. And then if we can work on the diverse cropping system, and which is the strength primarily. Say for example, if you look at what was there in Anandpur earlier, it was Navdhanya system. So there are multiple crops in a single plot. Then if you see that Akdisalu in Karnataka, if you look at Maharashtra, they also have similar kind of a cropping system. So that diverse cropping system, looking at the dry spell, managing the dry spells, will help rain-fed farmers to mitigate the climate change risk, and they are facing a lot of risk, and therefore it is important to understand how to reduce the risk. Only Fasal Bima Yojana will not reduce the risk of the farmer. You need to come up with a different safety net for the rain-fed farmers. I think that the crops which takes less water and managing too critical irrigation for crops actually save the rain-fed farmers. But we are only looking at Fasal Bima Yojana as a safety net. Why? No, we need to look at beyond the Fasal Bima Yojana.